Hello friends, and welcome to the Saitama Stacker channel. Wolfpack members, I hope you're with me on this one. This one is a doozy. If you're new to the channel, if this is the first content you're taking in, I would actually recommend you select a different video because this is pretty complex and it's a little bit heavy and it's going to be a long video. So feel free to bump up your speed to 1.25 or 1.5 if you can follow. But just know this video is addressing the burn, okay? And the burn on the surface looks pretty simple. We're going to start simple and we're going to get more complex. And quite frankly, I feel like as deep as I've gone into it, I'm still not really 100% there yet. And you'll see that as this progresses. But I've got some very interesting insights. And for anybody who's wondering, me researching the burn has made me more positive about Saitama. Okay, I'm more bullish now than I was before I did the research. I think it's absolutely fascinating, but my mind is fascinated by strange things. Ironically, I'm not a math person, but I love trying to understand things and to get a logical explanation. So I'm going to do my best to do that. So I'd like to start with some sources, okay? Whenever we do things and we do research, it's good to have sources. I have people make comments sometimes and they'll say, well, you should see this article. It said this, and so you're misunderstanding it. I would love to read that article. So if you have something like that you want to direct me to, whatever it is, leave a link, give me a source so I can go read it for myself because I'm totally open to learning. I'm open-minded about the project and about cryptocurrency and Saitama and where it's going in general. So for this, I am using the official Saitama website. There we have a burn percentage reported, and also they have a discussion here under the ecosystem about how the burn works. Okay, and this one, pretty superficial, but there's two important things to note. First of all, it says that 2% of the amount of all transactions is taken out of circulation, meaning that our token supply is constantly shrinking and making Saitama increase in value with time. I'm going to demonstrate exactly how that works tonight. And that they've already started with 49% of the total supply burned. And we're just going to round that up and say, when they launched this coin back in May, immediately 50% of the original supply was burned. Where can we learn more about this? In the white paper. So there's a link in the official Saitama token website to the white paper. If we pop open the white paper, I'm 6 pages in, and here it talks about what are called token dynamics, or some people call them tokenomics, kind of explaining how the token works. So we can see that it's launched on the Ethereum blockchain the 31st of May of 2021. So this project is still very young. It's a very new project. And it goes through it again. 2% of each transaction is distributed back to holders. 2% is burned. So it means that just by holding Saitama, your wallets will earn passive income, or your token count will increase. And the overall token count will decrease as a portion of the supply is burned. Okay. Now, there are some things I'm going to discuss in this video that have to do with the burn wallet or the dead wallet, and the fact that it is actually receiving these same 2% distribution rewards. Now, the source that I have for that is a video with Steve at rocketcrypto. Wow. Somehow I've killed that, but I will link it in the description. It's a 4-minute video, and in that one, I actually discussed it in yesterday's video too, and it's linked in that one. But Steve talks about the fact that the biggest wallet is the dead wallet, and that the dead wallet is receiving the burn tokens plus reflections. And I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like tonight too. So where is the dead wallet? For those of you who may not have seen it before, this is coin market cap, and we can see that the max supply, or the original supply of tokens, is 1 quadrillion tokens. It's a massive, massive number. Immediately when it was launched, 50% of that was gone. So we had 50 quadrillion. If you click on the holders tab and scroll down to the wallets, the very top one is the dead wallet. And you can see that it's holding 55 this is actually in millions, but it's holding $55 million. That's actually in billion. No, it's in millions. This is interesting, actually, the way this is reporting, because we know that the current market cap is 1 billion. And so this is holding 55% of that. This number should be 550 million. Okay, but we do know the dead wallet is holding 55% of the supply. I'm not sure how they're reporting this here, but it's just math. I mean, if we look at the total market cap right here, the fully diluted market cap is 1,379 million. The dead wallet holds 55% of this. And I actually have that number in my spreadsheet too, that we're going to go over for the analysis. Okay, so this is the part where it gets heavy. So take a deep breath, and we're going to start simple, and we're going to build our way up. Okay? This, I want you to know, I have about 4.5 hours of trying to work through this in my own brain. And so I'm not asking for sympathy or anything. I just want you to know I've been pretty thoughtful about this. But if you see anything that doesn't make sense, please post it in the comments. It's totally fine. I'm totally open. I'm not a math professor. Okay. So here's our variables. Okay. We started with an original supply of 100 quadrillion, 50% initial burn. So we were then at 50 quadrillion. And since May of 2021, we've burned an additional 10% of the current quantity, but really 5% of the total quantity. So another 5 quadrillion. We now have 45 quadrillion tokens in supply. It took 150 days to burn 5%. Okay, so if we were saying, how long would it take us if we'd used this in just a strict linear fashion to burn the supply down to, say, 5% of what's left? So that would require that we burn another 5% 8 times. So if we took 150 times 8, that would be 1,200 days if it burned in a completely linear fashion, divided by 365, 3.3 years. Okay, it would take 3.3 years if it was strictly linear. But there's a lot of things to consider in this, okay? It's not going to be linear. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to keep it simple and say, you know, if it were a perfect world and it kept burning at the rate that it has, it would take 3.3 years to burn the supply down to 5 quadrillion tokens, okay? So here's our variables to consider. These are things that are going to affect the burn. The price, the trading volume, the token supply, and what I'm going to refer to as the X factor and the accelerator. Okay. So this is my own analysis, people. Nobody else gave me any of this information. It's just what I've gleaned from watching the videos. And again, I know this is going to take a minute, so please be patient, but I'm going to walk you through my thought process. Okay. On my webcast every day, I look at the fundamentals of Saitama. And one of the fundamentals that I'm watching is the burn supply. Now there's a gap in here, and I think it's because it's off my page actually a little bit, but you can see from going back to August 31st, I've tracked the burn. Okay. And I took the last 16 days of the burn, and I took an average of how much change there is per day in that burn. Okay. So that analysis is down here. So here are the 16 days that I looked at. It turns out that it's burning at a rate of 0.02% or 0.02, 0.02. So 0.02% per day. So at that rate, to burn 1% would take 50 days. Now, this is pretty in line with the analysis that we looked at here, 150 days to burn 5%. This would suggest that to burn 5% would actually take 250 days. So it's slowing down a little bit. Okay, and there are reasons that I believe it's slowing down. It's very simple to explain that, actually, and we'll get into it. Okay, so this is just linear. This is if we just say, okay, this is the rate it's burning at, how long would it take? And we could do the same calculation, but because this is a little slower, if we were to get down to 5% of the token supply, it would take more than 3 years. Okay. So then we start looking at, oh, good gracious. Come on, mouse. Okay. We're going to look at some hypothetical transactions and see what happens as the price changes. So I'm kind of changing one variable at a time. So you can see how each piece of this ends up affecting the rest of the burn. So if we had hypothetical transactions of $10,000 at prices various, okay, now this first price is a price somebody today in the comments actually noted that they bought 1 trillion tokens at this many zeros and a 3. Okay. So currently this highlighted one is what our current price is, more or less. Okay. This is 7 zeros and then we start the money digits. And right now this would be a 1-3. But if we were to go back in history a little bit, okay, $10,000 would have purchased, we're in millions, billions, trillions, 20 trillion tokens. And then the 20 trillion tokens, 2% of that would be 400 billion. So 400 billion would have got redistributed to holders and 400 billion would have been burned. Now that seems like a really large number, but you have to remember the original supply is 100 quadrillion. It's a large amount. 50 quadrillion after the first initial burn. Okay. So as we go down, like at the current price, if we were to look at it, $10,000 would buy 1 trillion tokens. Okay. At 7 zeros 1, it would buy 1 trillion tokens. Look what happens to the burn now. Okay. The same amount of money being spent, but in this transaction, we're burning 20 billion. Okay. So it's essentially 5% of what was being burned a month ago at the current valuation. Okay. Now there are other factors and I understand this, right? So what would have to happen then, the next variable is volume. Okay. So not only has the price gone up, but the volume's also gone up. So if the price and the volume were to be completely in lockstep, then it would continue to be linear. But you can see that the volume going back, to like August 31st, which is when my tracker starts, the volume was around 2 million, then 3 million, 5 million. Well, currently we're closer to 20 million. So to go from 1 million to 20 million would actually make this a fairly linear relationship, okay? Because it takes 20 times the volume that it did at time 1 back here, or at this original price, which let me count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros before we hit our money digits. Okay. And I actually made one purchase, maybe, I may have made actually all of my purchases in this price range at about 908. So it was right in that range. I ended up getting 1 trillion tokens for $800 and I feel crazy lucky to do that. It's not intelligence. That was luck. And I'm fully happy to admit that. Okay. So 20 times. Now, as the price continues to rise and we burn a zero, okay, that would be this line right here. Okay. If we burn another zero, then $10,000 would buy 100 billion tokens. Okay. So think of that. 20 trillion tokens. Now, because of the price increase, we're talking about 100 billion tokens. And the burn goes down to 2 billion tokens. So there's this inverse relationship with the price and the rate of speed at which the tokens will burn. Okay. And the only way to offset that is to increase the volume. So at that valuation, to maintain this, 5% in, 5 months, or we go back over here and look at this. We burn 5% in 150 days. To maintain that kind of a burn rate, burning basically 5% of the total supply in a half a year, we would have to have a volume of 200 times the the original. So our volume would need to get into the 200 million range. And I'm not saying this isn't possible. As a matter of fact, if we were to look at a coin like, let's just take a look at Doge, because Doge is one of the ones I'm going to use towards the end of the analysis here. It's funny now, my coin market cap now automatically, they've learned that I'm looking at Saitama, so they automatically go to Saitama, which I appreciate because I don't like to look at much else, to be honest. Okay, so let's look at Doge. Doge's volume in trades is actually almost $1 billion a day. Okay, so it's not unreasonable that as we burn that next zero, we couldn't have pretty darn close. I mean, 200 times, we could definitely be 100 times. If we're talking a million versus a billion would be 100 times a million. So my guess is that as we continue to grow in price, that the burn is going to slow down. Okay, so it starts with massive token burns. And I actually showed this in a video I did probably 2 weeks ago, where the curve that's associated with this, it starts high and it comes down like a slippery slide. It comes down very steep and then it starts to flatten out, and then it goes almost parallel to what would be the x-axis in a graph, and then it's continuously approaching zero, but it can never get there because it's infinitely fractionable at a certain point. Okay? So this whole scenario right here is just to show that as the price increases, it takes a lot more volume to maintain a constant burn. Okay? So let's move to our next section. Okay. Now this is where we get into what I'm calling the X factor accelerator. And this makes me happy and it makes me sad at the same time. Okay. So this is where we talk about the dead wallet. So if we get into the Saitama on the coin market cap and look at the holders, 55% of the total token supply is held by the dead wallet. So every time somebody buys, the dead wallet receives 2% of that transaction in a burn, but it's also receiving a reflection. And right now it's receiving 55%. And it sounded from what Steve said in his video, Steve at Rocket Crypto, that the reflections or the rewards are distributed on a pro rata basis. So since the dead wallet has 55% of the tokens, it is receiving 55% of the reflection or the reward. So that would be 1.1% right now of the 2%. It's receiving 55% of 2%, which is 1.1. The rest of us are getting the other 0.9%. These are our reflections. And so as the burn continues, the dead wallet will take more and more. Excuse me, I muted to cough. But the dead wallet will take more and more of the reflection, and what it will end up doing is accelerating the burn. Okay, so this is a good thing. If we want to increase the price, we want to burn the tokens. All right, I should have brought a drink of water down because I'm getting long-winded here. I'm starting to feel it. Okay, so here's the redistribution to us as the holders. Right now we're getting 0.9% redistributed to us. And those are, like I show in the rest of my videos, the daily rewards that I've been getting. So far in a month, I've received 7 billion tokens in rewards. Okay, it's the part of this project that I pretty much love the most. So what makes me sad about it is the more tokens that we burn, the less distribution there's going to be. Okay, so the takeaway from this, okay, this was one of my epiphanies. The takeaway from this is the best time to get reflections is now. Okay, so this is a reason. If a person were to say, well, do I want to wait and see? What if the price stays stagnant? What if the price goes down? What if the price starts increasing? We don't really know what's going to happen. But one thing I can tell you is every day as people are buying and selling these tokens, I'm getting a redistribution of the fee that's being held out of theirs and given to me as a reflection. And the dead wallet's taking theirs and they are accelerating the burn. So It shows a burn of 2%. Currently, the actual burn rate is 3% of the supply. And that's been happening since the very beginning. Okay, back to May, that's been happening since the very beginning. They started getting 3% right out of the gate in the dead wallet. Okay, so there's one other thing I want to do then. And what I want to do is say, okay, so what are the implications of the burn on price? So we're going to look at real world numbers. Okay, this right here is what I would consider the market cap. Okay, so there are two capitalizations we can look at. Okay, I'm going to show you here. Okay, there's the fully diluted market cap. This is the market cap based on the full original token supply of 100 quadrillion. Okay, so if you divide this number by the original supply, it gives you today's price, which is very close right now to this 7 zeros, 1 3 and change. Okay, we could, I guess, look at it because I've got it pulled up here. So there it is, 7 zeros, 1 3 8 1. Okay, so to get the actual market cap based on the circulating supply, we basically just take the burn and multiply the remaining supply rate, or 1 minus the burn rate, to the token supply, and then so we're left with like 45 quadrillion, and basically that is this market cap is 45%. This is the market cap multiplied by the remaining supply percentage. Okay. Then if we divide this by the remaining supply, we end up getting the same price. Okay. So the price is fixed whether we look at fully diluted or the regular market cap. It's just based on, are we looking at the original supply or the remaining supply in circulation? Okay. So I'm using the market cap, not the fully diluted market cap. And what I did is said, if this market cap stays steady, okay, if it were to never change from today, but we were to burn down to 95% of the supply, what would happen to the price? Now, the prices are hard to read because there's many, many decimals. But if we burn 95% of the supply at today's market cap, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So we burned a zero and we're at 1, 2. If a person invested $1,300 today at today's prices and they never did anything and the market cap stayed exactly where it is, that would be worth $12,000 if we burn 95% of the supply. You'd think maybe it would be way, 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 way higher than that, but this is the math. Okay, I've taken the current market cap divided by the token supply. Now we believe the market cap is going to go up. Okay, I'm not so pessimistic to think that the market cap is not going to go up. It is definitely going to go up if we continue the momentum that we have right now. So what I did, just to give you another thought on this, is say you buy, this is based on 100 billion tokens. Okay, right now if you bought 100 billion tokens, it would cost you $1,365. If you just hodled it, you just held on and you never let it go, and our market cap raises to Dogecoin's market cap currently, which I think it can do. Okay. And in a video I made the other day, I actually didn't acknowledge the fact that Dogecoin's market cap has actually been triple what it is right now. At one point in time, they're 20 cents right now. They were 73 cents. It's almost 4 times what it is right now. But just for the sake of this argument and to give an illustration, Dogecoin's current market cap, I actually have it pulled up so we can look at it. Here it is, $26 billion, almost $27 billion, but I've rounded, in this case, I rounded down, but it's just for illustration. So if I bought it today at our price and the token supply never changed and we get to Dogecoin's market cap, your $1,300 investment would be worth nearly $58,000. As the supply goes down, as the burn takes place, if we were to say burn 95% of the supply, and I'm saying that may take some time, it may take many, many years, Okay. But your $1,300 investment at Dogecoin's current market cap would be worth $520,000. So this, you may have to go through this content more than once. And quite frankly, it's probably painful because it's a long discussion, but I hope you can see what I'm putting down. Okay. It seems like, boy, we're burning 2% of the supply. If you think, well, that would mean in 50 days, we would have burned 100% of the supply because we're burning 2% every day. Well, it's not how it works. It's 2% of the token supply based on the volume of transactions. Okay. So I've got that illustrated. You can pause it at any point and take a look at it. I wish I could make it larger, but when I do, it ends up kind of overrunning the whole screen. And then you kind of lose the data. I guess just knowing that $10,000 is the thing. Here you can see the relationships between all these. So guys, just know the burn is a good thing. The burn is happening at an accelerated rate because of the X factor accelerator, the fact that the dead wallet is getting a portion of the reflections and the burn. And when they go into the dead wallet, they don't come back out. So this is a great way for those of us who believe in holding long-term to have some assurance that the value will go up over time. So not only will it go up just because the market cap is going up, but it'll actually increase in value because the number of tokens that will be available to divide the market cap by to get the price will be going down. Okay, so hopefully I explained that well. I know this is heavy stuff. I promise I won't hit you with stuff like this very often, but I think that's absolutely fascinating. And it's just one more affirmation to me that this is a good long-term hold for me and my portfolio. So you have to do your own evaluation. Please give me any feedback that you'd like to. I swear I'm not going to hit you with this kind of stuff every day. Pretty heavy stuff, required some thought. I hope that you find it valuable. And, if you did, please subscribe and feel free to share this content with people who really are wanting to think deep about the project. Again, this isn't the one that I would recommend to your friends as their first introduction to Saitama, but I think it's fascinating. Friends, I hope you have an amazing day. Tune in tomorrow and we will watch our stacks grow together.